Rumors.
I'm gonna call this meeting to order. First order of business, pledge of allegiance.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First order of business is look for motion to approve the regular session minutes of April 7th.
So moved.
Second vote,
Yes.
Yeah. Looking for an approve or a motion to approve the special session minutes of April 14th.
So moved.
Second vote,
Yes.
yes. Were you here? Yeah, you were here. All right,
Actually, I was here for the 7th, I'm sorry.
No, he wasn't here for either.
He's upstanding. There was seven.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right.
You bet. You were in
Um,
Utah.
yeah. You're up. Anything
Not
else?
a lot, just our big things right now, the DEA prescription drug take back is.
When is that?
Saturday.
Saturday, I get a big bag.
We'll be in Hill, we won't be up here with you guys, sorry, but our closest one to you guys will probably be Cemetery Road.
Oh, really?
Well, we have one here.
I was gonna say, you guys have your own, I believe.
Yeah.
So but that's our big thing right now, and then.
That's our-
Same thing, Saturday, same time.
Oh, it's
It'll be- Yeah,
Yeah.
10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And then I told Chief, the sheriff's office will be offering the Citizens Academy in August, and I'll update him more as that goes, but.
And we'll have,
What sports are we into?
Oh,
Lacrosse and
my
baseball.
daughter's in up Arlington in a softball game right now. My son is at a track meet. I just came from he ran the relay for the first time today and they won. So
Nice.
he did the 4x800, which I can never do. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Congratulations.
Chasing him.
He's got the 2 mile, this evening.
One batter. What do you, which one?
No,
do you
I'm
back?
heading to Brown next.
All right.
If Brown is done early, I'm heading to Upper Arlington to watch the last inning of softball. If not, then I'm just going to kind of be hearing all that.
Yeah, this will be my first fall that I have no sports whatsoever. The first time in like, I don't know.
What's it feel like?
I don't
Oh, you
know.
know, it's.
I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah.
I'll let you know.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's an empty nester.
Absolutely, yeah. So,
What's the big issue in Brown these days?
well,
the police
Trustee
fire
Deaver,
levy.
Trustee Deaver passed away.
Right.
That's been-
So are they-
They're supposed to go to executive session, like midway through, so
Okay.
a lot of, there's ditch petitions in, the Norwich Township fire levy. We'll find out about them, so there's.
Always that fire levy.
Yeah, fire levy, yeah, fortunately, not a lot of crime to talk about, but I have my favorites. Yeah, block watching.
Brookside,
What? The 26th, there is a spring,
The spring fling or whatever.
yeah.
And then
What is that? I did go to the Civic Association last week, talk about the development, but what is the spring fling? Is it at the school,
yeah, just a little thing at the school that they do.
little festival?
I think, I don't exactly know what it is. I know they have, I think they have,
They get a bounce house.
Yeah.
Every year.
yeah. So I don't think it's huge, but they have a get together there. And then May 5th is the,
garage sale.
Bobcat Walk. Where they,
Well, they got the garage sale, what, the third?
yeah, the third. Yeah.
How are you splitting the garage sale? by the way?
Well, right.
You gonna have it? Confusing.
There'll be, I think we'll have somebody in both neighborhoods.
Okay.
So I'll check with Lieutenant Forsythe tomorrow, but I think he says he's gonna have one in each just to be safe.
Worthington Hills.
Let's see, they have new officers, the president, is Joanne, who is right across the street from Matt.
Who's
Joe Green? No, don't see Joe. So he's a lobbyist by trade. Worked for the association. Anyway, so he was on board. The vice president stayed the same, so there was just a little bit of moving around in chairs, things like that, but and I'm meeting with them Thursday night just to kind of catch up on a couple things like road project. But, anyway, garage sale the third. And I did have a quick question, regarding, solicitors. So I'll have to get you some more information on that. I think they want someone to come to talk specifically about how to prevent that from happening. I think we need to kind of go through maybe the process of people getting a permit, things like that. So. No, nothing there. Sorry.
We had a speaker scheduled, but not here yet, probably trying to find a new entrance, so.
I just,
Back to that.
Just got an email from him saying I'm not able to access the meeting using the link below. Can you please explain how to do so? All regular meetings are streamed live on Fishberry Township. So he's not able to.
No, that must have been an old message because we don't, I changed the message on the website. We haven't streamed since last year.
Can we get him on the phone?
He's got exhibits and things like that, so I think it'd probably be best to just maybe reschedule. If you can't, we'll just reschedule into the next meeting. Upcoming development.
We're gonna be reaching out to HOAs regarding the ballots down there. We also have the no parking. Do you want to go into that?
Still working on the no parking with the HOA members.
Okay.
They don't really want the legend in the road. We're trying to figure out other options for them.
They do want. Okay. Other than that, nothing to report.
Zoning.
Thanks. Things good.
No, never mind. Road department.
First item under old business is like the board's approval on the 2024 mileage certificate. I did confirm the mileage of 17.0. Went through the provided ODOT website to confirm that mileage, and that is right. Last year the approved was the 16.49. I think it's what's at top.
Was this the original form? Was the original number that we saw?
That was at the last meeting. Those
Okay.
numbers are correct.
Okay. We need a motion?
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the 2024 Township Highway System mileage certification. Which was currently 16.642, is now currently 17.093 miles of public roadways.
Second. Vote,
Yes.
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 Update on the 2025 resurfacing project.
There's some spreadsheets in the share folder. Shelley is the apparent low bidder. The township
I'm trying to write my first name down.
project came in, total cost with Franklin County's in-kind services was $1,044,314.19. The overall bid came in, well, the estimate was just over 5 million, and the bid came in at 3.6 for the total township project. So quite a bit lower than what
What are those numbers again?
was that?
What were those numbers
Can you
again?
go over those numbers one more time?
The total, for our total project, the Shelley bid is $1,044,314.19. That's with includes the 60,000 in-kind service to Franklin County Engineers in-kind service. Our local match, 20% will be $148,862.64.
What was our original budget?
Our original budget for the LTIP scenario was $179,000. Under the skip scenario, it was $239,000. That's what was approved last year, the financial statements.
We're under budget.
We are under budget. In Michael's email, where it says actual cost, or cost could change, we're in the field when the actual costs come in. That's referring to the units, if the measurements are off, they're trying to cover their butts since it was engineering did the original estimate for the OPWC application, and Mark did the resurfacing estimate. They're just trying to cover their butts in case there's any measurements off. I did go through and their measurements are all real close to what I had originally.
The 148 is really what we're committing to this project.
Yeah, well, we committed the 179. That's what they have. For
That's what
financial.
we need to pay.
Well,
Ultimately, the pay.
The 148 is what we should be invoiced for.
A lot better than where we were a couple months ago.
Because the two bids, there were three bids, there were two bids that were like at 5 million for this entire.
I didn't
County
see
bid.
the other two bids. I've seen the,
With the Shelley,
yeah, when I talked to Mark.
they showed me the other two, I can't, one was, Cocosing and one was something else.
Decker, I know, was
Yeah,
putting, bid in.
yeah, they were extremely high compared to Shelley for some reason.
The way Mark explains it, Strasser opened up a plant on the south side. Strasser's always purchased materials from Shelley. So now that they've got their own plant, it's created a bidding war between these companies. And that's the reason for the low,
You ever do any work with Chemco?
not a lot.
Yeah, me.
I reached out to them to get estimates on the parking lot,
Yeah,
because I knew they were here. They did the majority of the hospital
Oh,
work
okay.
until this entrance.
yeah.
I never heard back from them.
Huh. Yeah.
Uh, we talked about the no parking on Rivervello, working on that with the HOA. I do have a little update, the salt barn. I don't know if you noticed when you came in tonight, it is painted. It is a light gray.
I came in right after the.
I know.
Me too.
So take a look at it.
I'll look at it later, much lighter than it's gray. We sent them samples of grays that we thought looked most like concrete, and it's gray. The problem is once it's painted, it really accentuates the flaws in the concrete. You know, where there are pockets of air and maybe
Yeah.
holes.
Yeah.
You see it probably a little better than you would if it wasn't painted, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's all painted and it all looks
Beautiful.
consistent all the way around, so.
He's supposed to be in sometime next week to fix the gate, the dumpster. He's got a wheel, we've been asking him to adjust. We're working on that, and then his part will be done with the salt barn.
And we can pay him and move him along.
Yeah. Not on the agenda, shipping season started today, just to give you a heads up, it runs through May 2nd. And they tried the street sweep today, they had to get pushed off till tomorrow, so.
Be street sweep after shipping?
Usually right around the same time, and then they'll be back again just before the 4th of July.
I hadn't noticed anybody have anything out to check though.
There hasn't been a whole lot out of it. They ran, we started a week early. I had my dates mixed up and had everything ready for last Monday. They went out, ran everything, got a load that day. Picked up almost 2 loads today and completed the whole township,
When's the last day for that?
May 2nd.
We said something there.
It was in the newsletter.
Should we just send an email?
It's out on e-blast too, but it's been in the newsletter. It's on the website. It's on the calendars. So,
You have
But
a
yeah.
Facebook post, I think, this weekend.
So,
yeah, that's true.
It's on the Magnetic calendars too, right?
Yes.
I mean, they have access to giving it to Rumpke too, so I mean,
We have
they
these
have
years,
options.
we have these years where it's light. Last year was every year, if I remember correctly. That's all I have.
Any updates on the access control?
I looked at the county engineer and the assistant county engineer and, walked, through that. Glad the assistant county engineer was there because he kind of gave all the background. I'm not sure county engineer had that experience with the city of Columbus, so it was a very helpful conversation. Chief Treasurer went, sent all the information to them, as we promised. And we're gonna give them a couple of weeks to kind of look through it. We'll schedule a time.
What's the process?
Meet with them. They have to, the county engineer has to come to terms philosophically, he's willing to make a recommendation to the county commissioners
Okay,
on that. And we'll kind of walk through each one. I told him, I said, some of them have a, expectation of an entrance exit. Kind of like Newcomer.
right,
That's really a bad example because you don't have property owners that are right across from each other.
right.
Whereas if you go down to Markland or, another one, Blackstone,
Yeah, Blackstone.
those two, no expectation. Neighbors are right across from each other because what would happen is once they do that, they take that action, it reverts to the property owners right across from each other.
Mm.
But we have to have in place a quitclaim deed agreement. And we'll have to put in place prior to that. So once they get ownership, it automatically reverts to us.
Okay. Okay,
So it is a process and it could be held up, but it will be helpful to have it.
yeah, agreed. Anything else? Fire and EMS,
Nothing to report.
police department?
New business, we have a new cadet applicant who has passed all the background and necessary requirements, and her name is Anaya Johnson. She's a senior at Worthington Kilbourne. And same place that one of our other cadets, Haley, came from. She started off as an intern, and Anaya's interning with us as we speak through what's the name of the program?
Senior project.
Yeah, it's a senior project. We get somebody, and she has decided she wants to be a cadet. So she has filled out all of her paperwork, passed everything, and has all of her equipment ready to start with your approval.
Cool.
Make a motion that we approve Johnson as our new cadet.
Second, vote,
Yes.
yes.
Thank you. Second is Darren Smith, would like to change his status from sworn to non-sworn. He will still like to be involved with some things. He's had some personal issues, family issues, I shouldn't say personal issues. There's been some family issues, and he would like to spend a little more time at home. He would like to do some crime analyst stuff for us, in an unpaid status. And also, if we need a crime scene or evidence, he is more than willing to come in and help us with that as well. So he would like to stay a part of the township, just in a non-sworn capacity.
I move that we change Darren Smith's status from a sworn reserve to a non-sworn reserve officer.
Second, vote, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Administrator,
Nothing under legal, under old business. Need a motion to submit 60-day written notice to Ideal Integrations for discontinuance of services. Allow us then move it on to IT Made Real to help us out with IT. So let's,
I move to submit the 60-day written notice to Ideal Integrations for discontinuance of their management IT services that go through July 31st of this year.
Jim, isn't it?
I know it's July.
Maybe it is. I thought it was.
Yeah, because the contract is set to expire on July 31st, so.
Okay.
Are we gonna take them through their contract just to give us a little buffer, or we think we can get this thing switched over?
It'd probably be a good idea. Because all the initial agreement says that we just have to submit notice that we want to terminate service. It doesn't say when or
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think
we just.
Their
we're not gonna
cooperation.
renew
with IT Made Real and getting us up
3 months.
Yeah,
and running will play apart in when we actually separate from them.
Okay, but, okay,
Give us the most time as possible, say we have no intention to renew after.
Yeah,
July
yeah.
31st.
So I think taking the next 90 days to get those two companies start working together and getting us set up
okay.
would be beneficial.
Will I make that motion?
Second.
Vote, yes.
Yes.
I also move to accept the, proposal for managed IT services from IT Made Real.
Second.
Vote,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, shredded day is now set. It is set for October 25th. And we will start at Brookside at 9 o'clock in the morning, go from 9 to 11. Move to Worthington Hills from 11:30 to 1:30. So get that on your calendars so everybody can come.
Got an away game.
It is a bye week.
There you go. I'll make that motion.
second, vote,
Yes.
yes.
Under new business, we have to consider the adoption of modification of the limit home rule citation. That is this document, I think it was sent to all of you. This allows our police department to go out and issue a citation to folks when they have things that are put in a roadway. We had a gentleman that parked a dumpster in the roadway. Occasionally, we get folks that will dump a load of gravel or mulch in a roadway, and those kinds of things have to be removed. If they're working on a project and they dump it and it's gonna be gone by the end of the workday, we're okay with that. It's when they leave them overnight. We had a situation where mulch was left in the middle of the road. It was dark. Guy drove right into the pile of mulch. So the old form that we had, and it was adopted 20,
It would have been right after the township went home,
Yeah.
so early 2010s.
Franklin County no longer accepts that document, so we have to update our current one. So I need I guess a motion to modify our limited home rule citation.
Well, we might need it to be a limited home rule resolution
Oh, there you have it.
By limited home rule authority.
by limited home rule authority, so we have to set a public hearing date and such, but this was something that I had been working on last December, but then Beth pushed it to the wayside, so it didn't get finished. But if y'all need it, I had been talking with Jen from Brochus, and she'd be a good contact if you have any questions about how the process works, because we have to. They're technically civil citations, they're not criminal, but they require a constable to issue it, so that's why the police department's involved, and then it needs to be submitted to the Franklin County Municipal Court so they can process it, but then the payment goes to the fiscal officer. It's a very convoluted process.
Do we need a limited home rule resolution to approve that?
I believe so, because it needed a limited home rule resolution
Okay.
to adopt it initially.
So can we put this back on the agenda for
Mhm.
our next meeting and have a resolution ready to go?
Yep.
Okay.
One other item that's not on the,
Hey, real quick on this, on this topic, people are, it drives me crazy when these contractors dump stuff on the road.
Rick, you have any opinion on
I mean, you know.
Yeah, I think the police should be arrested.
Well, I mean, I saw somebody with mulch the other day on it.
Right,
I get 9 cubic yards of mulch every year for my yard. That's a pretty big load.
it is.
and where does it go?
And it goes on my driveway.
Right.
And I spread it and I hose off my driveway and it's concrete and it doesn't stain. But these people they just don't want it on their driveway. They put it in the street. And the problem is some of these places, then they clean it up and there's gouge marks when they do the,
All right,
you
yeah.
just gotta, there's just no dumping on the street.
Well, they have to get a right of way permit, right? All right,
It all depends on that. If they're digging, yes, excavating.
but couldn't we require a right of way permit if they were going to use it, which then we can enforce that it's only there for a day, but otherwise. I'm like sort of with Jim, it's like, and I don't think it's the homeowners that care, I think it's just the contractors. It's easier for them to just dump it on the road and get there if they have a problem.
I've seen one contractor this year, one landscape contractor over in, off of, it was Merwood. And the guy breaks out a 20 by 40-foot tarp,
Yeah,
and he had a dump trailer, and he dumped everything onto the tarp, and I thought, wow, why is this so hard for people to learn?
Yeah.
You know, You dig a hole in the yard, you put it on a tarp, you know? you don't throw
Sometimes,
it on
I
the
saw,
grass.
it was last year, but it was actually on our street. It's a couple of guys marks, not that bad, but somebody had a big paper patio, put it in the back. And they used the street for the staging area for all that stuff. And these skid steers then are,
Right.
you know, twisting and that kind of torques the pavement a little bit. Man, it's just.
Yeah, a lot of them
They're
are using those
damaging the
little,
pavement, they should have.
a lot of them are using those little mini skid steers that they just ride and stand on. And I've seen quite a few up there in Worthington Hills this spring. They just dump it on the street.
Mr. Roper, what's your question? Whether or not we can prevent that?
Yeah, we absolutely can, I think.
Yeah.
Under section B of the right-of-way regulations approved last year, there's a process for either the board or the road superintendent to declare obstructions a nuisance and then remove them in accordance with ORC 557-114.
But Luke, we could, and it's kind of like getting a fencing permit. Couldn't we require that if you're going to do work, the contractor should be, I mean, you get a dumpster permit, you get a thing. I mean, if we're just gonna say it doesn't happen at all, but I mean, there's part that's like, I kind of agree, it's like if they can. But if we're just gonna say it gotta go in
Well, the
the,
problem is with, especially with landscaping, there is no permit requirement.
right,
So they just show up, they dump, they go. We really don't know they're there until Rick
You
gets
don't.
out and sees it.
I mean, just like the dumpster in the road there, if those guys had been quick enough and nobody had called in originally, that's what started it all, was someone that called in. They would have been in and out because they were just doing a 1 8-hour day, replacing a fence at the back of the property. So they would have been in and out. Nobody, if I hadn't went up there that day over the call, then I wouldn't have
I think
known.
that's just something we stick in the newsletter somewhere or whatever.
This is-
Just like a reminder.
But-
Yeah.
I would think because, I mean, the activity I've seen in the last 3 weeks with landscape contractors is just phenomenal. How would you enforce it? I mean,
I don't know.
there's a
Well,
lot
if
of
they
people
push it
coming
up
out
there,
there.
then you gotta, we don't wanna dump it in the first place, and then
Right.
they're gonna pick it up, and then it's just gonna,
I mean, other than educating the township to, hey,
maybe
landscaping,
we send a notice to Mr. Mulch and Ohio Mulch. Well, I think that might be the key is to look at some of the prevalent landscaping companies, because one thing about the residents here, they tend to patronize the same groups of people pretty regularly, so if we can put together some type of list, as you're driving around, Rick, if you see companies out there, grab their names. Maybe we just reach out to the contractors and say, hey, yeah, it can't be dumping on the road. You either unload it from the back of the trailer or you dump it in the driveway and do it. But well, I told people who got bulk mulch from the lacrosse sale, there's lots of that out.
Right.
They always put it in the back of the driveway.
The
Yeah,
problem is, it's like the gentleman that was doing the basement on the corner of Fairway and Clubview.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many tons of gravel they.
That he had out on the road.
And he's got that inclined driveway. That gravel wouldn't have never fit in his driveway. Because he's ordering it in to work it. He had it gone every day, coned off, protecting the curb where he was going up and over. There wouldn't be anywhere for him to dump.
well, I don't think
Well,
that
that
much
would
when
be-
he's ordered. They put like plywood down or something just to kind of save the road a little bit. I'm just,
I think we just do an education. It's kind of like when you and I are, we're just at the time of the year, so it's like where, the expectation is your driveway. If it's not, Ian's point, if you can't, please call the township.
in April, May's time, you're gonna see bulk of that.
Yeah. So Luke, if you could put that on your Facebook post or whatever, and,
I'll highlight it on the website too, since it's that time of
Okay.
year.
yep. Okay.
Might be good to bundle in with a reminder about brush chipping, because we don't want people to be putting their brush chipping into the roadway either, so.
They've been pretty good there.
Sitting everything at
Yeah, I
the edge of the lawns.
I mean, I think they get used to it. They get
Wait till we.
habit of going.
Oh, yeah, the road.
Yeah, I mean,
We're gonna kill the grass.
I've had so many posts go out over the years about the brush chipping with the regulations, and pictures really help.
The picture
Thing
too.
is, Clayton comes
Yeah,
out every
yeah,
month.
let the residents know
Days,
how we'd like it stacked and where.
mid-April to.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, just for your knowledge, we currently buy all of our energy from a company called IGF. They purchase it for us through different suppliers. We've had a contract with them. That contract expired
Can't have two down there.
sometime last year, never got renewed. So we have been paying current market value for our energy
Whatever, yeah.
since about November. Which is a little higher rate than we get when we have a contract. So I am getting 3 different bids put together so we can present it to you guys, get back into a contract. And my recommendation, based on what's happening in the energy industry, that we go for a 60-month contract, lock in the rates. I have a company that will lock us in at current rates, so they won't go up over the next 60 months, but if they do go down, it will go down with the market.
Wow.
So, but it's just something to think about. We did probably, and we're gonna see substantial increases. We currently pay $28 for a kilowatt hour. PUCO just passed legislation that will increase that to $268 a kilowatt. And that's happening because of the demand for electricity
Out there.
created by data centers. Interesting. It's an interesting.
We're not allowed,
Yeah, cold.
is only residential allowed to use like apples to apples with those contracts? For
Well,
gas?
they're just, it's a website that you can go and kind of see what
You do it.
Yeah, I know it is,
Oh, I'm sorry.
but I'm just saying, but I think that's only for residential.
Residential.
No, they got commercial.
Okay.
Too, because I was looking, our office building, this was Worthington, and Worthington just set up that they were renewing at 9.9.
But I just, cause ours is up in June, I think, and sometimes I do 24 months, sometimes I do 12 months. But the difference isn't quite as stark as it used to be compared to the by Columbia and AP. Used to be able to get some, some place out of Houston, Texas that would be 30 or 40% lower than the standard like AEP rate, and that's not quite the case anymore. They're like closer to it than you think.
Well, it's,
And if you renew, if you don't, they tell you the new rate if you renew, it's sky high.
Hmm.
Cause they want you to kind of forget about it. They have to tell you what the new rate is.
Wow.
And it goes up dramatically. So if you just forget about it, like, okay, I'm set, you'll get punished. You'll pay a much higher rate than you would on the standard
They
AEP.
make up for it. Yeah.
They hope you just don't check it. It's like, the subscription will automatically renew unless you cancel it.
well,
You're
it's,
gonna get us a great deal.
yeah, it's something we need to look at. I mean, from the township's perspective.
It just takes a little legwork to find out what the best rate is.
Right, we're overpaying for energy right now, and that's just because we allowed our contract to expire and it went to a current rate.
But
And that only came to light because I had a vendor out in Florida call and asked if he could give a bid. I didn't know much about it, so I started looking and found out that IGS is our current supplier. And I actually meet with them tomorrow morning. I met with 2 of them today.
just because you get a rate that's like 20% less, but if you're building, like about 20%.
Well, and the other thing
The
I,
cost of the energy itself and the cost of, the gas or electricity is actually not a small part, but it's maybe not even less than half of these transmission
The
charges,
generation
line
versus
charges,
distribution.
all this other kind of stuff.
right,
Don't forget the 1814 tax.
there's,
Put that on there.
there's a big piece of this, also this rate increase that's being pushed right now by tariffs. Because we get a tremendous amount of our energy out of Canada,
Mhm.
so the Canadians are paying hardball.
I'm not saying anything.
At least the stock market's doing okay.
The stock market's gonna go up.
That's a joke.
But that's
No,
like,
I was wondering, what are you looking at?
And you're on.
Looking at my
you're on
sad
vacation,
401k now that I'm
yeah, I
retired.
leave tomorrow night, but I will be I'll be on.
We have
I'll be in
on
every day.
vacation, right?
I'll be in every day.
I thought you tried to have a vacation too.
Yeah, I don't need a vacation.
You don't have to sit next to the pool. You can do something else. You can go off the beach. And do something.
Brother has.
He'll be at Home Depot.
Everybody needs some time away.
It's good for you.
We'll be good.
Okay.
But that's all I have. I just want to bring this energy thing to your attention, so you know. When I come with a contract, what it's all about.
Fiscal officer, just approval of payroll and disbursements. I'll make that motion. Second, vote,
Yes.
yes. Anything else for the good of the cause?
I got one thing for the board. Something like you said. So. Budget season. So are we going to set July 6th now? July is a month that the board can sit down and start looking at numbers. Like when we sat down back there and we said, hey, this levy is too big.
Yes.
Why is it too big? And we went through line item by line item by line item. And obviously, it didn't come down as much as maybe we all hoped it come down because costs do go up, but it was a good exercise for all of us to ask questions and learn a little bit. And now that we have two individuals on staff, or one on contract, one on staff, kind of give us an understanding, and everybody's been able to go through an exercise. Current staff even had an opportunity to go through an exercise of learning about things that we could do, should do, whatever, to help save money. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't be able to pick a date in July that makes sense for people, that we can start to have a conversation.
Well, I've been saying that's for the longest time. What I would like to do is, because we do a lot of work in healthcare, and healthcare does this, about July, you put in your request, like, hey, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. And then it kind of goes into the hopper. You look at numbers and you say, we're going to fund this in 2026. We're not going to fund this, or whatever. So the department heads go in to 2026 already knowing what has been approved, because we balanced it also against the budget. So it's not a, hey, I'm thinking about this. It's like, you already know if you're going to buy two cars, they're on outside of just emotion, you get it. It works so well in healthcare. Not that you're going to get everything, but but by October, you're pretty much like, okay, our budgets are set for 2026, and you guys know what you're going to get or not going to get. Same thing with facilities. If we're going to fund things with facilities, then we got to look at it and say we're either going to do it or we're not going to do it. So,
Well, and I know in October, I cannot reach anybody at any corporate office at any company that I work with, because they're down to the wire, trying to make the final decisions about where their,
right.
capital improvement money is going and who's going to get what project funded and all that. And I get that. I just think we need to start earlier. In July is a good month that everybody tentatively agrees at the beginning of the state fiscal year as well, but it gives us a better understanding of what 2026 is going to look like towards. So I just want us to commit to pick a date sometime in July here that we can all sit down, take a half a day and walk through the budget together.
Well, and the other thing, like Michelle and I talked, and with her being in the position that in decals, that she kind of had that whole process up of like when we're going to do that kind of thing, but it gives you guys the ability to understand, what your budgets are going to be for 2026. Now, whether or not the new fiscal or the fiscal software we're going to do or not do, I think that's a whole nother process of sitting down with them so they can get their eyes on it and say, is this
Yeah,
worth
that's
the money
another
or not?
conversation.
Yeah. But that was paid, that software, didn't we identify that software was paid with, ARPA funds?
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought we did. So what is the process if we don't go forward? We gotta give it back?
that's an demand effective thing. I don't know.
And we pay for the whole thing up front.
No, we paid
Yeah.
50,000.
Third.
We paid them a third, but they haven't done anything. They have not started to build that program at all.
Because they
They just
need
haven't,
6 months. We gotta start the process 6 months before they convert.
And they can't start till we give them the correct numbers, but at the end of the day, to get out of that contract, it's not like they've invested time and money in anything. I talked to Pete a little bit about this and he
Do you think
just
we get
didn't
something
think
like
this
that?
would be a big deal to back away from. Since there was no
Actual product?
actual work or product produced. I mean, we'll have to see at the end of the day.
Would they also refund that on that? And we'd probably have to pay.
I would think there would be some portion of that they would wanna keep for administrative fees, but I can't see how they could justify keeping that whole deposit.
I mean, they did have a couple meetings with us, so I mean, they could try to justify time spent, but they didn't really. All they talked about was their product and their process.
That was more sales.
It wasn't anything like,
Well-
oh, we had to produce something to show you and.
But again, I don't think that the UAN is going to do what we are ultimately wanting this program to do, where, you know, you can go in and say, how much do I have left? And unless these guys want to be constantly producing reports for you guys to figure that out.
That's
We-
what we want.
We can have access to look at UAN, we just don't change anything. Like, I use Clinton Township, Chief Jones, that's what they use. You can go in at any given time and look at UAN and say, there's money in this fund, there's money in this fund, and like you said,
But I think it was more like, you know, like the one thing I did like about this Excel spreadsheets that we had is that I mean, for me personally, it was like miscellaneous tools. Is that in the UAN where it's labeled miscellaneous tools and I can look at the last 5 years? And, you know, because I could easily go down and scan and say, all right, why is that higher than it was 2 years ago?
I think we can set it up almost, whatever the requirements are, we can add what we want.
Okay,
So if we want to say, you know, office chairs, we want to say how much we spend on office chairs every year, you can add that
and
separately.
it calculates carryover and all that other stuff, so we can see what, you know, where our funds are and everything.
Yeah.
Cause the one thing that we did get through with the police that I thought was odd is, you know, we kind of patting ourselves on the back that, hey, we were able to take, you know, a 5 year, you know, what we budget for a 5 year to 8 or 10 or 12 years. But what I heard from when we did the thing was, we'd rather have you come back more often than,
Teach you to
Yeah.
practice smaller.
which that was a head scratcher for me,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Why, I can explain, at least the way it was explained to me why. Because it's such a big number in 10 years, if you do it smaller, it's easier to take because they can kind of keep up with it.
Yeah.
So that's the way
They
it's
keep us
explained.
engaged with the community.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, also didn't, I mean, again, it didn't help the school districts doing the same thing and getting
Yeah.
ready.
And gonna do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think UAN, and I can talk to Chief Jones a little bit more, but they use UAN and he said it's great. He said they can set up lines if he can't do it, but he can request it to their fiscal officer or assistant fiscal officer, whoever they can, and he say, hey, I want a line item for this, they can add it.
Hmm.
So,
Cool.
Probably, yeah, because I live in Prairie, I could probably ask Jim Jewell how they do it, because Amanda worked at Prairie before working here, and
Right.
they only use the UAN as well, and they are quite a bit larger than us, so see how they did it there.
But what is it, 95% of townships use UAN anyway, right?
Yeah.
significant percentage.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the
No.
cause? For a motion to adjourn,
I'll make that motion.
second vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. All right,
I am not leaving the meeting since I got back on my